Hey guys, Chris here for Thomann's Guitars and Basses. Welcome to Guitar Tech Tips Q&A number 5. If you enjoy these videos, please hit subscribe and ring the bell. Let's get into it. The first comment is from Harald Steakhouse. Steak sauce. Thanks for the video. What's the best way to deal with the volume loss between humbucker and split humbucker? We all know this. It's an issue that if you split the coils of a humbucker, you will lose a lot of volume. You can go back like 1/3, maybe even more with the volume, which is sort of annoying. So what you can do is, if you want to swap pickups anyhow and you're looking for something and you are planning on coil splitting that humbucker a lot, there are unbalanced coiled pickups. An example is the Custom 59 from Seymour Duncan, which has two very much unbalanced coils. One is a medium to hot output coil and the other is a vintage low output coil. And if you split that humbucker, the latter coil will remain active, with which your split sound will not be that much quieter than the normal series sound. So that's something that really works, and it's cool, but only if you want to swap your pickups. If you don't want to swap them, there's just one thing you can do, and that's the PRS trick. Years ago, PRS started modifying their coil split functionality, and there's a little trick. There's a resistor involved, and that helps to, well, reduce this volume loss, basically. If you're interested in this mod or trick or whatever, we can, of course, make an episode. Let us know in the comments if you want to see that. Tech the Guy. I have a question for you. Can I make my classic guitar electric? Of course, if you want to put a pickup like a piezo pickup or like an undersaddle microphone pickup, whatever it is you find and you fancy in your classic guitar, you can do that. Of course, you will have to modify it, and you will have to drill some holes, and it depends on if you are fine with that. If you don't want to modify your guitar, you should maybe just stick to, well, using a mic, but that's going to be an issue on bigger stages, louder stages where you're using monitoring. But there are also temporary mics or pickups for guitars, which you can sort of stick on in the body or on the top of the body. Some of those will sound really nice actually, and if you're just using it a few times a year, that might be enough as well. But if you don't want to mod anything on your guitar and don't want to stick stuff to it, you could consider getting a guitar for stage, maybe another one, maybe one with a factory pickup built in already. That's cleanest, I guess. And if we're talking about more expensive, like really nice classic guitars, a built-in pickup might change the tone a little bit, might cause some vibrations, which is the most sensitive part of having pickups in acoustic or classic guitars. So it depends on how often you would want to use that pickup. Next comment is from Jameson Pace. This came under the €2,000 Harley Benton DIY kit modifying video. So all I need is a cheapy kit, pro assembly, pro refin, pro plec, pro electronics, another pro assembly, pro setup, and a lifetime of pro lessons, and I'll be an amateur guitar consumer. Ouch. Even though the overall reaction to this over-the-top DIY Harley Benton guitar modding video was fantastic, and it's nice to see that it inspired many of you, some took it a little too serious. And to be honest, we didn't make this mod to tell you what is necessary or what should be done. This was just showing off whatever is possible and going way over the top. It's of course not necessary to plec a guitar that costs €100 or whatever. We wanted to showcase whatever is possible in the Thomann workshop. We wanted to let them do their stuff and involve them in this whole process. As a matter of fact, it's not even our recommendation doing the same thing to a DIY guitar. If you buy a DIY kit, the whole purpose of it is to do it yourself. If you finish the guitar yourself, you dress the fretboard, you do all that stuff yourself, you save a lot of money and you have fun doing it. And that's exactly what we wanted to show, but because we're Thomann, as told, we wanted to involve our luthiers as well for this guitar. Stephen S. Chris, I have steel wool as well, but are any of the other products as good for step 1 without fear of metal slivers? I also have fret erasers. Steve is talking about the nickel fret polishing video we did to make a nickel fret feel like stainless steel, as smooth as stainless steel. Yeah, of course, you can use other materials or tools like this rubber, this fret rubber. I'm guessing that's what you mean with the fret eraser. I can show you one or two. This is what it looks like, and these are like pretty rough sort of rubbers. You can get it with different grit. This is 400, this is 1000, and you can of course do the first step with these. I prefer using steel wool because it makes your frets way more shiny. So in many cases I just stick to that one step, use the steel wool, and then use a vacuum cleaner or whatever to clean all the mess up, or the fretboard, and that's it. I don't even go as far as using the Dremel each and every time. Frankie boy. Chris, would you personally add copper shielding to the pickguard, pickup, electronic and jack cavities of a 61 Custom Shop Strat? And there's one more question from Scrat Fox. Why no shielding with copper foil or conductive paint? He was asking this under the Harley Benton DIY mod guitar video. So, I'm not the biggest fan of these shieldings. Not because they don't work, they do help with hum, with noise, with all these weird issues that you can have if you have no shieldings at all. Fact is that most custom shop guitars, like a reissue guitar of any brand, will not have any shielding. And to be honest, I enjoy the sound of these guitars most, and I never felt like they suffer because of not having this shielding paint or foil inside the cavities. So like my Tele, which I play a lot in studios with huge lights all over the room, not perfect power situations sometimes, on stages, in my studio at home, everywhere. And I never ever had the issue of having some weird noises going on or a crazy amount of hum. So if ain't broken, don't fix it. That's my way of seeing these things. And of course, if I had the issue a lot because of, I don't know, my power situation at home, I would of course mask it and protect it and shield it. But since it's not been a serious problem, I wouldn't go there. And the second thing is, it does change the tone of the guitar ever so slightly. We never did an A/B comparison on this because it's really hard to sort of make it happen, to make a video on it. First you have to shield the full guitar and then rip it off. But I mean, if you guys want to see that, we could try it, and just let us know in the comments. How would you pronounce it?
How is it?
Pople, Popi. Purple, 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 poopy. Oder Pupel, poopy. How do you pronounce O-U in French? Plupel, ploopy. Okay. Next one is interesting. It's from Plupel Ploopy Poopy. Sorry. Love the name though. Good vid. I can't understand that a store like Thomann don't care about guitar setup before shipping. I'm waiting for a new guitar and I worry about it because I have no tech around. I wish Thomann were more professional. I could buy my dream guitar if I was sure about the setup before shipping. Lots of customers are disappointed, and ignoring it is such a shame. Very sad. Thanks for the comment. First of all, I absolutely understand that you're worried about a guitar you order online without trying it, of course. Before we get into it, just a short teasing. Thomann does offer a setup service. More about it in a sec, but before I explain that, it's important to understand how this works. The brand itself is responsible for the quality service. So if there's a quality check, that will happen at the distribution in that country, wherever you buy it, or in the factory where they produce the guitar, bass, whatever it is. So the store is not doing that unless the store is the distributor. For some brands, Harley, Benton, and some other brands, Thomann is the distributor, so the QC, the quality check, is happening here. And they are checked, of course. And all the other brands, Fenders, whatever, all those brands that have their own QC are responsible for those guitars to be set up to an acceptable factory setup. And now about the setup service. If you order a Thomann, you will have a small like comment field. You can write in like, please set up the guitar with these and those strings, and I want this string height, whatever. And then you'll be contacted. Of course, it will take a bit longer because a luthier will have to make that happen, of course, and it will cost a couple of 10 euros. Depending on what you want and what is possible, they will explain everything that's necessary to be done on your guitar to achieve what you want it to have. I have two comments here that came under our Sitar buzz repair video, which is an older one, but I really like that one, to be honest. The first is from Yu Hao Su. I don't really get it. My understanding is low string height cause open string buzz at the nut. Why do we have to use files to make the strings even lower? I have this issue on my G string after I changed new strings. The noise is killing me now. So first of all, there's one thing that you have to understand. There's a difference between a too low nut and having a fret buzz at the first fret because the nut slot is too deep. You don't file that even lower, obviously. You have to fill it up or you have to swap the nut. We have episodes on both subjects and I'll link them in the description box. That's what you do if the nut slot is too deep. If you want to fix sitar buzz, that's a different story. In that case, the nut slot is not too deep, it's just too parallel to the strings. That's what causes the sitar buzz. And that doesn't have to do anything with the frets themselves, that's just an issue of the nut slot. And the second one, same video, same subject, Paul Ennison guitar. You did not explain the mechanism why the sitar buzz happens and why the filing of the nut removes the sitar buzz. Room for improvement. I'm not sure, I think I did explain it and I even showed how it was. If it wasn't enough clear, I'm sorry, let's fix it. So first of all, if you have that sitar buzz with your open string and you are sure that the nut slot is not too deep, you have to, of course, check that first. Then the only reason for that issue should be that the nut slot is, as told a minute ago, is just parallel to the strings themselves. The nut slot has to be ever so slightly tilted to the headstock. Wait a sec. This is what I'm talking about. You can actually see it on this guitar that the string goes like this, and then the nut slot is tilted to the headstock, and then the string goes even further down in that angle. So that is what I was talking about. And if that's not the case on your guitar, well, it's not a surprise that you will have this nut buzz, sitar buzz effect. Johannes Gustafsson. How hard would it be to install a Floyd Rose on a Harley Benton Fusion 2 HH EB PSP? I love these letters. Pro Series guitar. Really hard, and it's not worth the trouble because you will need a proper professional router. You will have to work with, you have to be really exact when you're doing that. So I would recommend going to a tech if you want to mod your guitar to put a Floyd Rose in it. I don't think it's worth the trouble because you will have to change the routing. You will have to know exactly what you're doing. The posts will probably not be in the right spot for the new trem, the Floyd Rose. There are Harley models with a Floyd Rose, like factory Floyd Rose. I think that's just, first of all, cheaper. Second of all, an easier thing to do to get a guitar that has a Floyd already. And I wouldn't go there. Okay, we have two humidity related questions. First of all, David Personet acoustic covers. How can you control humidity if you're playing an outdoor venue? Thanks. You can't, obviously. You cannot control the humidity in the world, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. What matters is where the guitars are stored. If you have a venue and you play 1 or 3 or even 6 hours of a monster gig, that's just a couple of hours. Then you go home or put your guitar back in wherever it is, studio, rehearsal room, your bedroom, whatever it is. That's what needs to be sort of controlled. Because if where the guitar is most of the time is too dry or too wet, that will affect the guitar after a time. Eclipse Kitsune, sorry. I'm guessing this applies for electric guitars too. Still talking about humidity. Of course, it does. The body is not that much of an issue if it's a solid body instrument and it's sealed with finish, some sort of finish. That's not gonna be that sensitive. The neck will be though. Even if it's fully finished, like a full maple neck and fully finished, it will still move around a little bit because there are parts where it's not finished. Humidity will find its way into the wood, and since necks are pretty thin and long, they are bendable anyhow. Obviously, it's wood. So the slightest change will already have an effect on it. That's why it's still interesting. But most guitars are not fully finished. Like the fretboard is not finished, or a maple neck, but the backside is sanded off because it feels nicer. So in most cases, guitars will have necks where humidity can enter the wood. So long story short, you have to be aware of that and check the neck every now and then. Last comment is from Toffer Taylor. Chris, making all the mods look easy. Thanks, Toffer. Yeah, it might look easy because we edit these videos really short and compact that only the essential things end up in the video because it's just easier to digest. This way, if you want a fast help, you can watch one of these videos and you will not sit there for half an hour until you've seen everything. But the fact is that we shoot these videos for at least an hour. Some are a little shorter to shoot, but most of them are like 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours. And that's just a time-consuming thing to do. Mod guitars and fixed guitars. Even a string change can take up to 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the guitar. So we try to make these videos easy to understand and sort of logical from the beginning until the end, and don't want to show all the struggle and all the time that's involved. Whenever there's something tricky or challenging in an episode, I always tell it to you guys so that you don't underestimate the difficulty of whatever we're doing in that episode. Thanks a lot for the awesome questions. Hit me up with new ones in the comment section. Meet you down there and we'll see each other next week. Don't be afraid of fixing and setting up your guitars yourself. It's time to become your own guitar tech.